In the dimly lit hospital room, the sterile smell of antiseptic mixed with the soft hum of machines created an atmosphere that felt both foreign and frightening. My name is Clara, and I sat beside my grandmother, Evelyn, who lay frail and vulnerable in the bed. The rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor was a constant reminder of her fragile state. It had been a long night, filled with whispered prayers and silent fears, as I watched the woman who had once been a pillar of strength and laughter slowly fade away. "Clara!" she called out weakly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm so tired." Her eyes fluttered closed for a moment, and I felt a pang of panic. I couldn't bear the thought of losing her. "I know, Grandma," I replied, squeezing her hand gently. "Just try to rest. The doctors will take care of you." I wanted to believe my own words, but the tension in my chest told me otherwise. The nurses had come in and out, their faces masked and serious, but even today, their indifference to her discomfort was hard to ignore. "Can't you do something about the pain?" Grandma had asked the nurse earlier, her voice trembling. But the nurse had merely nodded, her eyes darting to the clock before rushing out, leaving us with only the echoes of her footsteps. As I sat there, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The way the nurse had brushed off my grandmother's pain felt dismissive, almost cruel. It was as if she was more concerned with her shift ending than with the suffering in front of her. I glanced at the clock on the wall, its hands ticking slowly towards the next hour, and felt a surge of helplessness wash over me. Why aren't they doing anything? I muttered under my breath, feeling the heat of frustration rise in my cheeks. I was about to voice my concerns when the door swung open, and I caught sight of a tall figure stepping inside. Dr. Michael Tran, the on-call physician, strode in with an air of confidence that instantly shifted the mood in the room. His dark hair was slightly tousled, and his white coat was crisp against his sharp features. He looked at Grandma, then turned his attention to the charts hanging at the foot of her bed. But it was the way he paused, his brow furrowing in concern as he scanned the information, that caught my attention. "Good morning, Mrs. Thompson," he greeted, his voice warm yet authoritative. "How are you feeling today?" "I'm in pain, doctor," Grandma replied, her voice quavering. "It hurts all over." Dr. Tran's gaze flicked toward me. I held my breath, hoping he would see the worry etched on my face. "We're going to address that," he assured her, turning back to the chart. "I'll order some additional medication for you, and we'll adjust your treatment plan. You deserve to be comfortable." As he spoke, I could see a flicker of something behind his eyes, an urgency, perhaps. It was as if he understood what I felt, the mounting anxiety, the frustration at the system that had failed my grandmother. I could feel my heart thumping in my chest, a mix of relief and a hint of confusion at the abrupt shift in the room's energy. "Thank you, doctor," Grandma whispered, her voice growing steadier. I watched as a faint smile crossed her lips, a sign that perhaps her suffering might be alleviated. Dr. Tran moved around the bed, expertly checking the foreline and the bandages wrapped around her thin arms. As he worked, the atmosphere felt charged, as if something significant was about to happen. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was more than a doctor. He was the key to unlocking the answers I needed. "Have you had any more episodes of confusion?" he asked, his focus shifting back to Grandma. Her eyes widened slightly, and I could see a flicker of fear in her expression. "I don't remember," she replied slowly, the weight of her words hanging in the air. I sensed that there was more to her condition than the doctors had been telling us. Dr. Tran paused, studying her face as if he were piecing together a puzzle. "We need to get to the bottom of this," he said firmly. "I'll order some tests that can help us understand what's going on. I promise we're going to figure this out." I felt a swell of gratitude for his determination. Finally, someone was listening. I opened my mouth to speak, to ask the questions swirling in my mind, but before I could form the words, the door swung open again. This time, it was the nurse from earlier, her expression apologetic. "I'm sorry, doctor. I didn't realize you were in here," she said, nervously glancing at us. "I was just coming to check on Mrs. Thompson." Dr. Tran straightened, his demeanor shifting slightly as he addressed her. "We need to get Mrs. Thompson's pain management sorted out. She's been through a lot, and I want her to be comfortable." "Yes, of course," the nurse replied, her tone suddenly more respectful. I could sense the shift in power dynamics. It was astonishing how one doctor could change the entire atmosphere of the room. As the nurse began to take notes, I couldn't help but notice the way she avoided looking directly at Dr. Tran. There was something almost fearful in her demeanor, and it made me question what had transpired here before. "Is everything okay with her treatment?" I interjected, my voice shaking with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Why was she left in pain? Dr. Tran met my gaze, his expression unyielding yet sympathetic. "We're going to get her the care she needs, Clara," he replied, his voice calm. "But I also need to know more about her history. Sometimes the answers are in the details that slip through the cracks." I nodded, feeling a surge of determination. I wanted to be part of this. I wanted to know everything. "What do you need from me?" I asked, my voice steady now. He offered a slight smile, almost impressed. "Just your observations, Clara. Everything you've noticed about her condition, any changes, no matter how small." As I began to recount the details of Grandma's recent episodes, her forgetfulness, the moments of disorientation, the pain that seemed to come and go, I realized how much I had been holding back. I shared everything, my thoughts and fears spilling out like a dam breaking. The more I spoke, the lighter I felt, as if the weight of my grandmother's suffering was being lifted, piece by piece. Dr. Tran listened intently, jotting down notes, his brow furrowing as I detailed the things I had thought were insignificant. It was as if for the first time I had a partner in this fight against the unknown. Time slipped away, the outside world fading until it was just the three of us in that small room. I was no longer just Clara, the worried granddaughter. I was Clara, the advocate, the voice for my grandmother who had always been so strong. Finally, Dr. Tran nodded, a look of resolution crossing his face. "Thank you, Clara. This is incredibly helpful. We're going to get to the bottom of this." As he turned to leave, I felt a swell of hope rising within me. Maybe, just maybe, we had turned a corner. But as the door clicked shut behind him, the lingering question remained. What secrets were buried in my grandmother's condition, waiting to be uncovered? I glanced at Grandma. Her eyes were still heavy with fatigue, but there was a glimmer of something else. Perhaps hope, perhaps fear. I reached for her hand again, determined to stay by her side through whatever was to come. "Whatever happens, I'm here," I promised, squeezing her fingers gently. She nodded slowly, the faintest of smiles playing on her lips. And in that moment, I knew this was only the beginning. The journey we were about to embark on would reveal truths I never expected, and I was ready to face them head-on. As I settled back into my chair, the sun began to rise outside, casting a soft glow through the window. The light illuminated the small room, and I took a deep breath. My heart raced, not just from fear but anticipation. The secrets of the hospital were waiting for us, and I was determined to uncover them. The dawn light seeped through the thin hospital curtains, casting patterns on the sterile floor that reminded me of the fleeting moments of normalcy I yearned for. I glanced at my grandmother, Evelyn, whose face was softened by the light, though the shadows of worry still lingered around her eyes. I felt a mixture of hope and anxiety stir within me. Today felt different somehow. The air crackled with a sense of urgency, as if the hospital itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to unfold. I heard the faint echo of footsteps outside the door, and my heart quickened. Dr. Tran had promised to return with answers, and I could hardly contain my anticipation. The rhythmic beeping of the monitor seemed to sync with my heart, each pulse echoing my feelings of fear and hope. "Clara!" My grandmother's voice broke through my thoughts, soft yet steady. "You're so quiet. Is everything okay?" I turned to her, forcing a smile that I hoped would mask my anxiety. "I'm fine, Grandma. Just thinking about everything. Dr. Tran will be back soon, and I know he'll help you feel better." She nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. "I've been through so much, Clara. It's strange to think about what comes next." I reached for her hand, cradling it between mine. "We'll figure it out together. You're not alone in this. I promise." The next moment, the door creaked open, and Dr. Tran stepped back into the room, his expression a mix of determination and concern. He held a folder in one hand, the papers slightly crumpled, as if he had been rifling through them in haste. My breath caught in my throat as he approached. "Good morning again, Mrs. Thompson." "Clara," he said, his gaze alternating between us. "I've been reviewing your grandmother's case more thoroughly, and I believe we need to explore a few options." I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I think there might be more than we initially considered. The gravity of his words lingered in the air, thickening the atmosphere. What do you mean? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Is something wrong? Dr. Tran took a deep breath, his brow furrowing. Your grandmother's symptoms, her confusion, the pain, could indicate a few underlying issues. I want to ensure we're looking at this from all angles. Specifically, I'd like to run some neurological tests, along with a comprehensive blood panel. Neurological tests? Grandma echoed, her voice wavering. Yes, I understand it sounds daunting, Dr. Tran replied gently. But it's crucial for us to rule out any serious conditions. I want to get a complete picture of what we are dealing with. I looked at my grandmother, searching her eyes for reassurance. I think it's a good idea, Grandma. They'll help us understand what's going on, and they could lead us to the right treatment. For a moment, she hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. What if there's something really wrong, Clara? What if it's bad news? Dr. Tran placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, his touch reassuring. The only way to find out is to look deeper. I wish I could promise that everything will be fine, but I can promise to keep you informed every step of the way. Knowledge is power, and I want you both to have that. My heart swelled with gratitude for Dr. Tran's calm demeanor. He was not just a physician, he was a guide through the labyrinth of uncertainty we were in. When can we start? I asked, my voice steady now, fueled by a newfound determination. Right away, he replied, glancing at the clock on the wall. I'll arrange for the tests to begin shortly. In the meantime, I'll ensure that your pain is managed better, Mrs. Thompson. Let's prioritize your comfort. As he spoke, I felt a softening in the tension that had built up over the past hours. I watched as he turned to the nurse who had just entered the room, holding a tray with a few small vials and syringes. Let's start with some medication to help with the pain, Dr. Tran instructed. Mrs. Thompson has been through enough. She deserves relief. The nurse nodded, her expression now more attentive and respectful than before. Of course, doctor. I'll get that started immediately. As she prepared the medication, I turned my attention back to my grandmother. See, things are moving in the right direction, I said, trying to instill a sense of hope in her. Grandma gave me a small smile, but I could see the worry still etched on her face. I just want to know what's wrong, Clara. I'm scared. I squeezed her hand tighter, feeling the fragility of her strength. I know, Grandma, but we have Dr. Tran on our side. He'll help us find the answers. With a nod, I turned back to Dr. Tran, who was now reviewing the notes on Grandma's chart. He seemed lost in thought, and I was struck by the intensity of his focus. Doctor, do you think this could be related to her past medical history? I asked, remembering fragments of conversations from years ago. He looked up, his expression serious. That's certainly a possibility. Medical history can play a significant role in understanding current symptoms. Your grandmother's age and previous conditions may also contribute to this complexity, but I want to stress that we need data to make any conclusions. As the nurse began administering the medication, a hush fell over the room. I watched Grandma's features relax slightly as the medicine dripped into her fore. A hint of color returned to her cheeks as she leaned back against the pillows, exhaling a shaky breath. Thank you, Grandma whispered to the nurse, who smiled in response. Dr. Tran glanced at the clock again, then turned to us. I'll check back in a little while to see how you're feeling, Mrs. Thompson. In the meantime, I'll make sure the necessary tests are scheduled. After he stepped out, the atmosphere shifted once more, leaving Grandma and me in a bubble of quiet anticipation. Do you think they'll find something? She asked, her voice trembling. I hope so, I replied honestly. The sooner we know, the sooner they can help you. I won't leave your side, I promise. We're in this together. The silence between us grew, filled with unspoken fears and hopes, and I could feel a deep bond strengthening in that small hospital room. Suddenly, a sharp knock on the door broke the stillness. It swung open, revealing a woman in a crisp white coat, her hair tied back in a neat bun. She appeared to be in her 30s, with an aura of confidence that was almost palpable. Hi, I'm Dr. Emily Carter, the neurologist on duty, she introduced herself, her voice warm and inviting. I've been briefed on Mrs. Thompson's case, and I'm here to discuss the tests we'll be conducting. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Another physician, another layer of support. "Thank you for coming," I said, feeling the weight of the moment. Dr. Carter smiled, her eyes flickering to my grandmother. "I understand this can be overwhelming, but I want you to know that we will take good care of you, Mrs. Thompson. These tests will help us understand what's going on in your brain. Knowledge is key." As she began to explain the procedures we would be facing, I felt my own fear begin to dissipate. The more I learned, the more I realized that we were not alone in this fight. I thought of the secrets that lurked in the shadows of the hospital and felt a renewed sense of determination. I would uncover every mystery, no matter how daunting it might be. This journey was just beginning, and I was ready to face whatever came next, hand in hand with my grandmother. The room buzzed with the energy of possibility, and as we listened to Dr. Carter's reassuring words, I knew we were on the brink of something significant. I was ready to confront the unknown, and I wouldn't back down without a fight. And so, with hope igniting within me, I braced myself for the journey ahead. The air in the hospital room felt charged with our collective anxiety as Dr. Carter detailed the upcoming tests. I sat on the edge of my chair, leaning forward, absorbing every word. The soft hum of machines and the distant shuffle of nurses provided a backdrop to her calm, reassuring voice. "We'll start with an EEG to monitor your brain activity," she explained, her fingers deftly flipping through the pages of my grandmother's chart. "It's a simple, non-invasive procedure. We'll place electrodes on your scalp to track electrical signals in your brain. It will help us identify any irregularities." "Will it hurt?" Grandma's voice trembled slightly, betraying her fear, and I squeezed her hand tighter, ready to provide courage. "No, not at all," Dr. Carter replied with a gentle smile. "You might feel a few cold sensations when we place the electrodes, but it's completely painless. I promise to explain each step as we go, and you can ask questions anytime." "Okay," Grandma whispered, though uncertainty still flickered in her eyes. I could feel my own heart racing as I thought about the possibilities. What if they found something serious? I had to believe it would be something manageable, something we could work through together. Dr. Carter continued, "After the EEG, we will perform some imaging tests, an MRI and possibly a CT scan. These will give us a detailed look at your brain structure." "Why do I need all these tests?" Grandma asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if she feared the response. "Because, Mrs. Thompson, your symptoms are complex, and we need to ensure we cover all bases. Understanding the underlying causes will allow us to provide the best treatment plan tailored specifically for you." There was a firmness in Dr. Carter's tone that said she was determined to get to the bottom of this. Grandma nodded, absorbing the information. I could see her resolve slowly growing. She was a fighter, after all. "Thank you, doctor," she said with a tremor of newfound strength. "I appreciate your thoroughness." "Of course," Dr. Carter replied, her smile widening. "I'll check in on you throughout the day. And if you have any concerns before we begin, don't hesitate to ask." As Dr. Carter stepped away to prepare for the procedures, I remained by my grandmother's side, watching her face as she processed the whirlwind of information. "Are you feeling okay, Grandma?" I asked softly, brushing a stray hair from her forehead. "I think so," she replied, her voice steadier now. "It's just a lot to take in. I'm scared, but I feel like I'm in good hands." Her eyes met mine, and I could see the flicker of hope mixing with her fear. "We'll get through this together," I promised. "I'm not going anywhere." I knew that the road ahead would be rocky, but somehow the prospect of facing it alongside her made me feel like we stood a fighting chance. Just then, the door swung open again, and a young nurse entered, her demeanor brightening the room. "Hi, I'm Lily, and I'll be helping with your tests today." "Are you both ready?" she chirped, her enthusiasm infectious. "More than ready," I said, trying to muster some excitement. Grandma smiled faintly, the corners of her mouth lifting as she observed the nurse's energy. "I'll start by setting up the EEG," Lily said, deftly gathering equipment from a cart. "It won't take long, and you'll be surprised at how easy it is. Just think of it as a little brain spa day." She winked, and I couldn't help but chuckle. It was just the lift we needed. As Lily explained the process, I felt the tension in my shoulders begin to ease. She was kind and patient, her demeanor a refreshing contrast to the indifferent nurse we had encountered earlier. The way she interacted with Grandma, making eye contact, smiling genuinely, made me feel grateful. "All right, Mrs. Thompson," Lily said, gently guiding Grandma to sit on the edge of her bed. "I'm going to place these electrodes on your head. You might feel a little sticky from the gel, but it'll wash out easily afterward. Just relax and take deep breaths." As Lily worked, I watched my grandmother's features soften. The warmth in her eyes returned, and I could feel the bond between us grow stronger with each passing moment. "This isn't so bad, is it?" I teased, trying to lighten the mood. "Not at all," Grandma replied, chuckling softly. "Maybe I should ask for one of these at home." After the electrodes were secured in place, Lily stepped back to monitor the machine. The rhythmic beeping and occasional clicks of the equipment filled the room, blending into the background noise of the hospital. "Now, just sit back and relax," she instructed, adjusting the settings. "I'll be in and out, but I'll keep you updated." As the procedure continued, my mind wandered to the secrets lurking within the hospital walls. I had seen patients come and go, families crying in the waiting room, and staff rushing past with serious expressions. This place felt alive with stories, and I wondered how many had remained untold. Grandma's voice pulled me back to the present. "Clara, do you think the tests will reveal something important?" "I hope so, Grandma. I really do." My heart ached with a mixture of fear and hope. We need answers, and I believe Dr. Carter and Lily will find them. The EEG took a little longer than expected, but the gentle quietude of the room allowed us to settle into our thoughts. I glanced at the monitors, my eyes tracing the gentle waves that danced across the screen. Every pulse felt like it carried the weight of our fears and hopes, intertwining in a delicate balance. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Lily returned. "All done," she announced cheerfully, carefully removing the electrodes from Grandma's head. "You did great. Now I'll take these results to Dr. Carter, and she'll discuss the next steps with you." "Thank you, Lily," my grandmother said, relief washing over her face. As Lily exited, I leaned closer to Grandma, brushing my fingers over her hand. "How do you feel?" "A little tired, but I think I'm okay," she replied, her voice soft but steady. "It's good to have something happening, you know. It feels like we're moving forward." Just then, the door swung open once again, and Dr. Carter stepped inside, her expression serious yet hopeful. "Mrs. Thompson, I have the results from the EEG," she said, her tone calm yet firm. "I'd like to discuss them with you both." A sense of apprehension washed over me, causing my heart to race. I exchanged a glance with Grandma, whose eyes were wide with a mixture of anticipation and dread. This was it, the moment of truth. "Let's hear it," I encouraged, trying to mask the anxiety bubbling within me. Dr. Carter nodded, stepping closer. "The results indicate some unusual patterns. While they're not conclusive, they do warrant further investigation. I'd like to schedule an MRI to delve deeper into the brain structure. This will help us identify any abnormalities more clearly." "Abnormalities?" Grandma echoed, her voice trembling slightly. "Yes, but remember, there are many reasons for these patterns. It's crucial we don't jump to conclusions. We need to gather more information." Her calm reassurances provided a layer of comfort amidst the uncertainty. "Okay," Grandma replied, inhaling deeply. "When can we do the MRI?" "As soon as we can arrange it, likely later today or tomorrow." "I'll ensure we prioritize it," Dr. Carter assured us. "I know this is a stressful time, but I want you to feel supported throughout this process." "I appreciate it," I said, feeling a swell of gratitude. In this moment, I realized that while the road ahead might be daunting, we were not alone. We had each other, and we had a team of dedicated professionals who were fighting for Grandma's health. As Dr. Carter left the room to make arrangements, I glanced at my grandmother, whose expression had shifted from fear to determination. "No matter what happens, Clara, I want you to know how grateful I am for you," she said, her voice steady. "I'm here for you always," I replied, squeezing her hand again. In that moment, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. Whatever lay ahead, we would face it together. The hospital hummed around us, alive with the energy of hope and uncertainty, and I knew we were standing on the precipice of something significant. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting shadows across the room, I prepared myself for the next chapter of our journey, a chapter filled with challenges, but also with the promise of answers. And as we awaited the MRI, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were about to uncover not just the mysteries of Grandma's health, but perhaps secrets of a hospital that had long been buried. Waiting for someone to find them, the hours crawled by as we waited for the MRI procedure. The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, illuminating the white walls with an eerie glow that felt both sterile and oppressive. I glanced at Grandma, who sat quietly, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her hospital gown. I could see her thoughts racing, a whirlwind of apprehension and hope battling for dominance. "Do you remember the time we went to the beach?" I asked, attempting to distract us both from the anxiety that filled the room. "You wore that big sun hat and insisted on collecting seashells." Her eyes brightened, a small smile breaking through her worry. "Of course. You were so focused on finding the biggest shell. I think you ended up with a whole bucket of them." She chuckled softly, shaking her head as if remembering the warmth of the sun and the sound of crashing waves. "Those were good times, weren't they?" I replied, squeezing her hand. "No matter what happens here, I want you to hold on to those memories. We'll make more, I promise." Just then, the door creaked open, and Lily stepped in, her presence filling the room with a burst of energy. "All right, Mrs. Thompson, are you ready for the MRI? I know it sounds a bit intimidating, but I promise it's a straightforward process." "Ready as I can be," Grandma said, her voice steadier now, fortified by the small reprieve of laughter we had shared. Lily smiled brightly, her enthusiasm contagious. "Great. We'll get you settled in and make sure you're comfortable. Follow me." She beckoned us to rise, and I helped Grandma to her feet, her frail figure leaning slightly against me for support. As we walked through the maze of sterile corridors, I noted the faint scent of antiseptic mingling with the indistinct chatter of nurses and doctors. Each step felt heavy, laden with the weight of uncertainty and the unspoken fear of what the MRI might reveal. "Clara, do you think they will find something serious?" Grandma's voice was barely above a whisper as we followed Lily. "I don't know, Grandma," I admitted honestly, my heart racing at the thought. "But I trust Dr. Carter. She's thorough, and that gives me hope." We arrived at a small room filled with advanced equipment that hummed and clicked with a mechanical heartbeat. The MRI machine loomed before us, resembling a giant donut. "This is where the magic happens," Lily said cheerfully, gesturing toward the machine. "Magic, right," Grandma replied with a nervous chuckle, her fingers still entwined with mine. "Just think of it as a little adventure," Lily continued, her voice bright. "All you have to do is lie still, and I'll be right here the whole time." As Grandma prepared for the procedure, I quietly observed the surroundings. The walls were adorned with abstract paintings, intended to soothe anxious minds, but their bright colors felt stark against the sterile environment. The room was filled with an assortment of medical gadgets, all designed to diagnose and treat the hidden ailments that lurked beneath the surface. "Okay, Mrs. Thompson, I'm going to ask you to lie down here," Lily instructed gently. "Just relax and take deep breaths. I'll be in the control room, and I'll be able to see you and hear you the whole time. If you need anything, just let me know." Grandma nodded, her expression a mixture of acceptance and trepidation. As she lay down, I brushed my hand softly over her forehead, a silent gesture of reassurance. "You've got this, Grandma. I'll be right here waiting for you." With a final nod, Lily stepped away, closing the door behind her. The sound of the machine whirring to life echoed through the small room, vibrating through the air like the hum of a distant engine. I leaned against the wall, watching closely as the MRI began. "Just breathe, Grandma," I whispered, feeling the tension build in the air. Inside the machine, I could see her eyes fluttering shut, her breaths coming in steady puffs. The rhythmic thumping of the MRI pulsed through the room, each sound resonating with the anxiety that coiled in my stomach. I felt helpless, wishing more than anything that I could take away her fear, that I could shield her from the unknown. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours, and I couldn't shake the feeling of unease creeping over me. I paced the small space, glancing at the clock on the wall, its hands ticking away in a steady rhythm that contrasted sharply with my racing heart. Finally, the machine quieted, and the door opened. Lily stepped back in, her expression unreadable. "All done," she announced, her voice cheerful but layered with something deeper. "You did wonderfully, Mrs. Thompson. I'll let Dr. Carter know the results are ready for review." As Grandma emerged from the machine, Her face was pale, but she managed a small smile. That wasn't so bad after all, was it? Nope, just a long nap, I teased, wrapping my arm around her shoulders to guide her back to the waiting area. Once settled, I could feel the anxiety returning, a familiar weight pressing down on my chest. The anticipation of waiting for results was nearly unbearable. What if they find something? I murmured, more to myself than to Grandma. Then we'll face it together, she replied, her voice steady, bolstered by an unwavering strength. No matter what. Suddenly, the door flew open again, and Dr. Carter entered, her demeanor serious yet compassionate. My heart raced as I caught a glimpse of her expression. The flicker of concern in her eyes sent a chill down my spine. Mrs. Thompson, she began, her voice calm yet firm, we've received the MRI results. I held my breath, my heart pounding against my ribcage. Grandma reached for my hand, her grip tight as if seeking comfort. First, I want to assure you that we will explore every possibility together, Dr. Carter continued, her gaze unwavering. The MRI has shown some unexpected findings. The words hung heavy in the air, and I could feel the weight of impending revelation bearing down on us. I exchanged a glance with Grandma, whose eyes widened in apprehension. Unexpected, I echoed, my voice barely a whisper. Yes, Dr. Carter confirmed. There are some areas of concern that require further examination. I'd like to discuss a plan of action with you. My heart sank, yet I could see the determination lining Grandma's features. What do we need to do? She asked, her voice steady despite the underlying fear. First, Dr. Carter replied, we will conduct a series of specialized tests to better understand these findings. I'll ensure we move quickly because I know how vital it is to get to the bottom of this. As she outlined the next steps, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were standing at the edge of something much larger than just physical health. The secrets that lurked within the hospital walls seemed to ripple just beneath the surface, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover them. And as we prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, I realized that this journey, though fraught with uncertainty, was also an opportunity for discovery. Not just of Grandma's health, but perhaps of the hidden truths within the very fabric of the hospital itself. With renewed resolve, I leaned closer to Grandma, whispering, "We'll get through this together. I promise." She smiled, her eyes gleaming with gratitude and strength, and I knew that no matter what lay ahead, we would dive into the unknown side by side as I sat in the small, sterile waiting room, my heart pounding as Dr. Carter outlined the next steps. Her calm demeanor was a blanket of reassurance, yet the weight of uncertainty pressed heavily on my chest. Grandma held my hand tightly, her fingers cold but steady, embodying a quiet strength that both frightened and comforted me. "What kind of tests?" I asked, my voice barely breaking through the thick silence of the room. Dr. Carter adjusted her glasses, casting her gaze between us. "We'll begin with a CT scan followed by a biopsy if necessary. I know this is overwhelming, but I promise we will get to the bottom of this." The air felt heavy, laden with unspoken fears and the ghost of my grandmother's vulnerability. I could see the flickering fluorescent lights casting a sterile glow over the room, and I focused on the buzzing sound of the ventilation system, an odd melody in such a tense moment. Grandma squeezed my hand tighter. "Clara, I trust Dr. Carter. We'll take this one step at a time." Her voice was filled with conviction, but beneath it, I could hear the tremor of anxiety. I offered her a reassuring smile, but inside, my mind raced with the implications of what the MRI results could mean. "Can we have a moment?" I asked Dr. Carter, a sudden urge to shield Grandma from further stress overwhelming me. She nodded, stepping outside the room. Once the door clicked shut, I leaned closer to Grandma, seeking her comfort. "What if it's something serious?" She looked into my eyes, her gaze unwavering. "Whatever it is, we will face it together. Remember the shells? The beach?" I nodded, tears almost spilling over. "I'll hold on to those memories, Grandma. But I'm scared." "It's natural to be scared," she replied softly, brushing my hair back. "But fear can be a powerful tool. It reminds us to fight harder." Suddenly, the door swung open again, and a nurse rushed in, her expression frantic. "Mrs. Thompson, we need to move now. There's been a development." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" The nurse was already gesturing for us to follow her, her words tumbling out in a rush. I can't discuss it here. We need to hurry. With my heart racing, I helped Grandma to her feet, her frail body leaning heavily against mine as we followed the nurse through the sterile halls, each step echoing with urgency. A sense of dread curled in my stomach, and as we turned corner after corner, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were stepping into something far deeper than just a medical emergency. We arrived at a larger examination room, filled with more medical equipment than I had ever seen. Dr. Carter stood waiting, a serious look on her face as she gestured for us to enter. I'm sorry for the rush, but we've just received the preliminary results from the lab. It's urgent that we discuss them immediately. What do you mean? I asked, my voice rising with panic. Please sit down, Dr. Carter urged, her tone steady yet grave. I understand this is sudden, but we found something in the MRI that we must address. I glanced at Grandma, who was pale but resolute, and we both took seats. What did you find? I asked, gripping Grandma's hand tighter. Your grandmother's MRI revealed a mass, Dr. Carter explained carefully. But before jumping to conclusions, I need to clarify that not all masses are malignant. It's crucial that we proceed with the CT scan and biopsy to determine the exact nature. A mass. The word hung in the air like a storm cloud. I felt the weight of uncertainty crushing down on me, but Grandma remained composed. So we need to find out more. That's all. Yes, Dr. Carter replied, meeting her gaze. But there's more. The lab results indicate an unusual anomaly that could point to something genetic. I blinked, my mind racing. What do you mean? There's a history of mutations in your family that may explain these findings. We need to gather your family's medical history to explore this further. It may not just be about treatment for this mass. It could have implications for you as well. The revelation hit me like a brick. You mean this could be hereditary? Yes. And that's why we must act quickly. If there's a genetic predisposition, it's crucial for both of you to understand the implications. Grandma looked at me, her eyes wide but filled with understanding. Clara, this is about more than just me. A chill ran down my spine. What do we do? We'll work with a genetic counselor who can guide us through the testing and what it means for our family. It's vital to get ahead of this, Dr. Carter replied with urgency. As we delved deeper into the discussion, I felt a strange sense of clarity wash over me. The fear that gripped me began to loosen, replaced by the determination to confront whatever lay ahead. This was not just about Grandma. It could impact my own future, and potentially that of my family. After what felt like hours of discussion, the weight of the unknown still lingered, but I felt equipped to face it. As we prepared to leave the office, I turned to Grandma, my heart swelling with gratitude. No matter what happens, we'll do this together. She smiled softly, her spirit shining through the uncertainty. We have each other, Clara. That's what matters. Just when I thought we could finally breathe a sigh of relief, Dr. Carter cleared her throat and hesitated for a moment. There's one last thing I need to tell you. What is it? My heart raced again, the last shred of calm dissipating. Dr. Carter took a deep breath, her gaze unwavering. The mass we're concerned about, it's been linked to a rare condition that has been overlooked in recent treatments within this hospital. The research is ongoing, but it appears that several patients with similar symptoms have reported a history of negligence during their early assessments. I felt the ground shift beneath me. What are you saying? There's a chance that your grandmother's condition might have been missed during previous visits, potentially due to systemic issues here. We need to ensure transparency, and I want to help you uncover what really happened. The room spun as I processed this revelation. The unsettling puzzle pieces of fear and hope began to align, revealing a twisted truth hidden within the walls of the hospital. This was not just a personal journey anymore. It was a larger fight against a system that could have failed us. I glanced at Grandma, and I could see her determination morph into resolve. We were no longer just fighting for her health. We were stepping into a battle for justice, uncovering the hidden truths that had long lurked in the shadows. Then we fight, I declared, my voice steady with determination. We'll uncover what's hidden and ensure that no one else suffers in silence. Together. In that moment, I realized that this journey was not just about facing fears. It was about reclaiming our power and becoming advocates for ourselves. With that newfound purpose, I led Grandma out of the room, ready to take on whatever lay ahead. As the cool hospital air enveloped us, I felt a sense of strength coursing through my veins, ready to confront the unknown intertwining with our lives. What began as a journey through illness had transformed into a quest for truth, and as we stepped into the uncertain shadows of tomorrow, I held on to the knowledge that together we would emerge stronger than ever, ready to rewrite our story.